And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
We've all done it. You see a headline but don't have time to read the whole story, or there's so much news you're not sure what is worth your time. I'm Colby Ekowitz, co-host of Post Reports, the weekday afternoon podcast from The Washington Post. Post Reports brings you what's relevant and revealing. Breaking stories, politics, wellness, culture. Each episode goes beyond a headline for the context you need. Find Post Reports now, wherever you're listening.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, iHeartRadio app, all over social media. And now let's check in with what happened over the weekend. I don't get it. Tuwala said he loved the movie How to Train Your Dragon. Still number one for the second week. It brought in another $36 million domestically. Worldwide, it's at $360 million. Last week, I was making a point, and I can still make it again. This is a very healthy summer so far for box office, for movie theaters. Strong performances by movies, which are staying in theaters. People are seeing the movies multiple times. And overall, it's off to a great start. We're still in June. 28 years later, you heard the Ronner Report and Mark Ronner detail. Is it fair to say it wasn't great, but it was better than the 28 weeks later?
It was definitely better than 28 weeks later, and I liked it a lot, and I think it's going to be on the list of the year's best horror films.
It brought in $60 million worldwide this week, so that's not a bad start.
No, not at all. It's going to be around for a while. I'm hearing a lot from horror people and normal human beings that they really enjoyed it.
The budget was only $75 million, so it will eclipse that this week. And as always, horror movies by and large do well. They don't cost a lot to make, but you know they have a pretty good shelf life. Now, Elio, I really didn't have any desire to see. It's a Pixar feature, but this one seems to have underperformed. It was only, when I say only, usually a Pixar movie will be in more than 4,000 theaters. This was only in 3,700 theaters. Did not see a lot of promos for it. Did not see the trailer as much for it. Only brought in $35 million worldwide. And I have to assume with a Pixar movie, that's probably well under expectations. But, you know, I think I see most Pixar movies, unlike Mark Ronner, because, you know, he's an adult, or that's what he claims. But Elio, its budget is set at $150 million. For $35 million out the gate, that's not a good omen at all for that movie.
It's the lowest opening ever for a Pixar movie.
There you go. That quantifies it and qualifies it. Coming in number 4 was Lilo and Stitch in its 5th week, still in the top 5. It brought in $9 million this week. Overall, it's at $911 million worldwide. It's trying to make it to $1 billion, and that would be an incredible, incredible haul for that movie, given it did not have those types of expectations. Coming in 5th this week, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. We have another story we're going to talk about with Tom Cruise next segment, but it's still doing well. It brought in another $6.4 million to come in 5th this week, and it's grossed more than $500 million worldwide. It's $540 million at this point. So if this is going to be the true end of the Mission Impossible series, it's doing very well. I can't remember all the other budgets and also returns for the other Mission Impossible movies, but I know this is the best one probably in a long time. And did you notice the 20th anniversary of Brokeback Mountain?
How will you be celebrating this, Mo?
It came in number 14 this week.
Yeah.
It's been re-released in theaters. I did not know that.
For Pride Month, I'm guessing?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah. That was that's joke. Random, but yeah.
20th anniversary, but yeah, it does make sense. And that's basically the big takeaways from the top 10. There are other movies like The Phoenician Scheme, which is in its 4th week. It's still hanging around, brought in $32 million. I don't care really to see it. But the movies overall are still doing pretty darn well. In fact, coming in 9th this week is the Final Destination Bloodlines. Talk about horror. It's grossed $280 million worldwide.
Oh, that guarantees we're going to get more of that crap.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of horror, Sinners finally dropped out of the top 10 this week, but it's also in its 10th week in theaters, which is a great harbinger when you get a movie to stay in theaters 10 weeks. And it's $364 million. It's been a very, very, very healthy movie season since maybe April. And if you're rooting for movie theaters, you want to see those types of numbers.
And to your point, Mo, it's also a good, I mean, I don't know which side it's good and bad for, but that's one of the, Sinners was one of the few movies that I haven't seen available on, like, for streaming yet. I think I just maybe saw it like last night, but normally after like 2-3 weeks, you're already like, oh, you can start streaming.
Yeah. We're 10 weeks in. That means people are going to see it multiple times. People are going to see it not on the weekend, but during the week. And also, and we were commenting about how nice the traffic was driving in. We're at that point where everyone's out of school.
Yep. I noticed that today too.
So it's like, this is the best time of year for the next 3 months.
And then you forget, and then you're like, why is the traffic so bad today? Oh, it's August or September.
People start trickling back. It is different now because with this year-round schooling and the different school districts are on different tracks, they're never really all out of school at the same time. You'll have some kids who'll be going back to school in August, some even in July, depending on the school district. But it's nice to be able to drive in this time of year and not deal with the fullness of traffic. But that also means you have more crumb snatchers at the movies, Mark, so you'll have to stay away probably going forward.
Well, just following up on Sinners, good on Ryan Coogler, the director of that. He says he's not going to do a sequel no matter how much money it makes.
Thank you, Ryan Coogler.
Seriously.
Yeah. Could he make Goo Gobs some money? Of course.
You don't always have to go back to the well. This is really good news from somebody who seems like an actual artist.
And I heard that he's not even going to do a prequel/sequel either. It's just going to be a standalone. It was that story and it's done. And that's something I appreciate about filmmakers like a Christopher Nolan. I'll put Ryan Coogler in that, where they have these ideas, these event movie ideas that they're creating on their own, which are not sequel dependent. You can say what you want about Inception, but he did it and he walked away. You can say what you want about Interstellar. He did it and walked away. That's really rare these days because most of these directors want to have something they can sequelize.
Yeah, the bulk of the movie market is now remakes and sequels, and if you want to know why more people aren't going to the movies, it's because they're just bored with that.
Can't disagree with it. But I do like a good sequel every now and then. Don't get me wrong. I don't like reboots. I do like sequels because there are some characters I want to catch up with. There are some worlds I wouldn't mind revisiting, but reboots, not so much. Not so much. I don't want to see the same story just updated a certain way, which I already am familiar with. Like, there was no need to do a Total Recall reboot.
You know, I'm not sure I even bothered with that one, even when it was free to stream, because what's the point?
It's not even in the true tradition of Philip K. Dick, which was the underlying story for it. I thought the 1990 version with Arnold Schwarzenegger was a much better telling of that story than the one with Colin Farrell.
I couldn't see any reason to watch it, and just try making new stuff.
Yeah.
This is the problem because the budgets are so huge. They want a more sure return on their investment. Spend less money on the movie so you can take some risks.
From your lips, To God's ears. That's how.
Oh, thank you for finishing that. I wasn't sure where you were going to take it.
Carnation, you knew what I was saying, right?
Now you know I didn't know what you was talking about.
Oh gosh,
never heard that.
You know I don't know.
You've heard that, right?
I knew exactly where you.
Thank you. From your lips to God's ears. Like, hopefully that happens.
Well, I thought you were going to turn it into some grotesque insult.
No,
He's not you, Mark.
I thought it was a movie line.
Okay.
Gosh, you think so less of me. I don't understand how we got here. Am I really that bad? Gosh, I would insult Mark, but I wouldn't insult Mark and Carnation. Come on now. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. When we come back, we're going to talk about some Tom Cruise movies, which are getting a second look given his latest Oscar talk. You know, they're looking at his career again and realizing he's not a bad actor after all. Well,
you know what's great about your investment account with the big guys? It's actually a time machine. Log in and zoom. Welcome back to 1999. It's time for an upgrade. At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind at Public.com. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Molly Roberts.
And I'm Drew Goins. Each Friday on Impromptu, we talk through the questions we can't stop thinking about.
Do we need to rethink how much we drink?
Why are companies really asking workers to come back to the office?
Does boycotting a business actually work?
Should we quit social media?
We're here when the news gets personal and the headlines hit home.
Join Molly and me every Friday on Impromptu from Washington Post Opinions.
Find Impromptu wherever you get your podcasts.
Tell you about it.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, it's Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the iHeartRadio app. If you want to check out the show live and in living color. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about Tom Cruise, and I was making the case that he should be considered for one of the top 4 categories. I'm talking about Best Actor, Oscar. And some people laugh me off. It's just like, no, he's a stunt guy. He's not a great actor. And I would say, like, wait a minute, slow down. He actually was a very good actor, and now he's done more stunts than anyone. But I thought that stunts should be considered as part of his acting performance because he's in character. It's one thing when you have a stunt double doing all of your work. Yeah, then that's separate from what you're doing. But if you're climbing on that plane as it takes off and you're saying lines as the plane takes off, I think that should be given more consideration because that is part of your actual performance of being a secret agent. You know, that you're doing far more than someone who's just memorizing lines and blocking. I have noticed, and maybe it's confirmation bias, I'll be the first one to say that, but I have noticed more and more stories about Tom Cruise, not only the story about him getting an honorary Oscar for the totality of his career at the next Oscars, but more and more people are talking out loud about actively considering Tom Cruise for a Best Acting Oscar. In other words, they would enter him and maybe he could be in the top 5 or top 10, however many, and get a nomination. I don't think that's out of the question. And we were talking about the hashtag Oscar for Tom Cruise or Tom Cruise for Oscar, however you want to do it. And I think that there is gathering momentum for Tom Cruise to get that consideration. And when I come across a story like this on KTLA, 5 times Tom Cruise deserved an Oscar win, that says to me that it's not just me talking about it. There are more people who are thinking about Tom Cruise within those acting terms. And if you have been a Tom Cruise fan as long as I have, and you've seen his earlier roles, you know how talented he is as an actor. I remember the first time I saw Tom Cruise. It was a movie called Taps with Timothy Hutton. I think it was maybe Kiefer Sutherland, but Tom Cruise, he had a smaller role in it, and it's about these teenagers who are working at a military academy, and they take over the military academy because they were going to close it down. Highly underrated. It's a classic, and the more I talk about it right now, it reminds me I need to go back and rewatch it. You get to see a super young Tom Cruise in that.
You like him in that Vampire Fancy Boys movie?
That's the only one I actually did not like. Interview with the Vampire. I hated that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I did not like it at all. And maybe because I'm not really particular or partial to vampire movies, I thought it was just a little bit over the top.
He was in that one?
Yeah, it was him, Brad Pitt.
I just know it's Brad Pitt and I thought Leo DiCaprio. Never mind.
Yep. Yeah. So Taps was the movie that I saw. I think it was like 1983. And it starred Tom Cruise, Timothy Hutton, Sean Penn, George C. Scott, Ronnie Cox from Beverly Hills Cop 2, and one Giancarlo Esposito. I forgot he was in it. He was very young and at the beginning of his career.
He paid his dues. He's been around a long time.
Yeah, he's not one of those overnight sensations. But very quickly, like if you go back and review the pre-stunt Tom Cruise, you realize that he's done some very stellar work. Magnolia, that was a good one. Obviously, we know A Few Good Men. That's one I think he should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And it's been shown a lot lately. I've noticed I keep finding it on TNT. It's being played. And if you go back and watch that interplay between Tom Cruise and Demi Moore, he does a spot-on impression of Jack Nicholson in it. It is hilarious. You get to see that this dude is actually pretty talented as an actor.
I think A Few Good Men is turning into the Shawshank of movies that whenever it's on, you just kind of sit there and get wrapped up in it.
Oh, good. It's not just me too, because I know it's coming, and I want to see that damn monologue court scene between Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. I want to see all of it.
Yeah.
Because the way Jack Nicholson just reads everybody in the courtroom is just fantastic. I don't know if they'll actually, in that movie, I don't know if you'll find any better Jack Nicholson as far as a particular scene. Now, there are better movies with Jack Nicholson, but I don't know if you'll see a better scene with Jack Nicholson.
He's a terrific heel in that movie.
Oh, he's great. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to. I'm sorry, I just had to do that. Vanilla Sky was another good Tom Cruise acting movie. And these are movies that I think you should watch just because if you're a fan of movies. In fact, if you're paying attention right now, they might end up and name that movie called Classic at the end of the week. Hint, hint, hint. Just wanted to let you know that.
Have you reached out to Tom Cruise's people about appearing on the show?
No, I'm warming them up right now.
So you're just focused entirely on Eddie Murphy.
I'm focused on buttering up the Tom Cruise folks. It got to take time, okay? You just can't just reach out there. You have to make sure that people listen to the show and word of mouth gets back to the Cruise people.
Ah, so you're being strategic.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm employing George Bush strategery.
Yes, strategery and putting food on your family.
Born on the 4th of July, obviously. This is probably one of his best performances. I believe that he was underappreciated in it. And people forget that he is a fantastic actor. But when he was playing Ron Kovic, maybe because he was overshadowed by just being in an Oliver Stone movie, or maybe people did not take him seriously. But if you may remember, the best Oscar went to Daniel Day-Lewis for My Left Foot. I just I don't understand how that happened that year. And that was the problem with the Oscars, because they oftentimes don't have a real sense of the movies which have broken through and have a lasting impact in cinema history. Born on the 4th of July, absolutely. My Left Foot, nobody cares about. Not then or now.
Well, there's a politically incorrect way that I will not get into to describe how people figured that voting went in the Academy over decades.
But no, to answer your question, and also Jerry Maguire, that's another one where people keep overlooking Tom Cruise as an actor, when if you go back and just watch his performances in his movies, he is always undersold, but is a talented actor who has never had to rely on stunts. He's done stunts, but he's never had to rely. And when you go back to The Firm, when he's opposite Gene Hackman, gave a great performance in that. He just didn't get the credit.
Your Honor, you doctored the logbook. Damn it, Kathy! You coerced the document.
Consider yourself in contempt.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Here it comes.
Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago and you curse the Marines. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know, that Santiago's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. We use words like honor, code, loyalty. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide, and then questions the manner in which I provide it. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stand a post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to. Did you order the code red? I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did!
KFI AM 640. Nick Cannon when we come back.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mr. Mo Kelly. It's Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on social media and the iHeartRadio app. Nick Cannon is someone that I've had an issue with. I don't know him personally. I don't think we've ever met, actually, but I have an issue with how he carries himself and the idea of having some 12 kids and how cavalier he is about having 12 kids and possibly wanting to have more. And I was talking about earlier in the show about every time I open up this mic and everything I do, I'm very conscious of what I put out there. Either I can confirm or debunk a stereotype. I'm very, very particular about that. So when you see me, you will never see me without a belt. My pants are not going to be sagging. You're not going to see me engage in behavior which is going to be indicative of any type of stereotype. It's never, not at all, because I know that people will make their judgments on what they see from people who are working in the public eye. Do I have a profile of Nick Cannon? Absolutely not. But I do know, being on KFI, some people will take their cues as far as African Americans and who we are by things I say. What we do is because I am an entry point, and I'm a firm believer of being an ambassador everywhere I go. So if you see me in a KFI event, I'm always dressed. Always, because that's the way I'm going to present myself. When I leave the house, I always have an undershirt on. If you're looking at YouTube, you can see it right now. There's something that was instilled with me very young. I always have a belt. I'm always presentable. 99 times out of 100, you're only going to see me in a collared shirt. I don't do the T-shirt thing when I'm at work. That's how I present myself. And I say that to say Nick Cannon is none of those things. None of them. And each time I come across a moment in which he can't even name all 12 of his children, it reminds me, and hopefully it reminds anyone else who may idolize or admire him, that fatherhood is not about being able to only financially provide for a child. Fatherhood is about being present. My father was ever present. He was there to help me with my homework. He was there as the flag football coach, the basketball coach. He was there pitching me baseballs in the backyard. He was there teaching me music. He was there to counsel me. He was there to chasten me and also financially provide. Nick Cannon, he may be very wealthy and he may be able to financially provide for his many children, but he obviously can't be there for them. And if you struggle to remember the names of all your children, then clearly you're not being a provider in the emotional sense. You're not being present. There are not enough hours in a day for him to do his jobs, bring home the bacon, as they say, and also spend time with his many children, which vary in age ranges. And I think that you're cheating your children. You're robbing them of the opportunity to have a particular personal relationship with their own father. And someone who has had a father who passed on, and very, very appreciative of our relationship, I can say firsthand, I know what it's like to have a good father and how important it is to have a father in a child's life. This is Nick Cannon over the weekend on the Bobby Althos, the Really Good podcast. And of course, whenever he goes on a podcast, 9 times out of 10, they will ask him, can you name all 12 of your children? So if Nick Cannon wasn't good at it 5 months ago, he should be good at it now, you would think, because he gets the same damn question over and over again. Well, this was this past weekend. Let's see how it turned out.
What are their names?
I just told you.
You told me one.
Oh, you want all 12?
12 names. Go.
All right. This is where I usually get in trouble.
Why? Because you don't know all of them.
I know all of them, but like when you're labeled, like can you label or just rattle off 12 of anything?
Yeah.
Can you name
colors.
12 states right now?
They're not like what's something personal to me that I can name.
Can you see exactly? Okay, name 12. What do you have 12 of? Do you have 12 tattoos?
I don't even have 12 tattoos. You have more kids than I have tattoos.
Exactly. All right, well, here we go. I'll label it off for you. See, let's keep me honest. There's rock, roll, golden, powerful, rise, onyx, legendary, Zion, zillion, zen, and see, this is where
it's a damn shame.
How many?
You're missing 2.
I'm missing 2. And then I would say, oh yeah, did I say beautiful? Did I say there's beautiful? And then there would be Halo, my youngest.
There you go. You almost had it. I feel like I
almost did it.
To be so cavalier, almost did it. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Nick Cannon is doing all the things that I wish he would not do. And I'm trying to do something so people don't look at specifically African-American men in a certain way.
Do you think Elon Musk can name all of his bizarrely named children?
But thank you for making that point. Unfortunately, the same social stigma is not going to be attached to Elon Musk.
He's held to a different standard.
Right.
And even though his kids are Nevada, Vivian, Griffin, Kai, Saxon, Damien, and here's where they get funny, XAEA12.
That's the one I remember.
You can't even pronounce them.
No, XAEA12. That's a child abuse lawsuit waiting to happen right there. Exa, Strider, Azure, Techno. He named a kid Techno.
Wow.
Arcadia, Selden Lycurgus, and Romulus.
And we know that Elon Musk is a very busy man himself. Between SpaceX and Tesla, I don't know how much time he spends with his children
or generating them.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if it's a turkey baster or he's actually present for the actual act. I don't know, but I do know he's not brought up in the same conversation or is frequently in conversation about how many children he has or perceived the same way as Nick Cannon. And I think they should be perceived the same way. Because the what I would call negligence and the arrogance are the same in that regard. You heard Nick Cannon how it's not a big deal. He doesn't take it seriously, and that's something I would take very seriously. But to answer your point, Mark, and it's a great one. The same social stigma is not attached. I can't say it's not fair, but I always say it may not be fair, but it's a fact. I just need Nick Cannon to do better. Not for me, because other people will look at him and ascribe what he does to other people who look like him. And we could do better than that. KFI AM 640. Want to check in with George Noory in just a moment, find out what he's going to be talking about, and also have my final thought. And it's connected to the events of today, what has happened with the supposed ceasefire. There are conflicting reports, so I'm going to have to navigate.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You don't know me yet, but I bet we have something in common. We all wish we were better functioning humans. Maybe figure out how to sleep better, have more meaningful relationships, cook more. That's Search for Practical Knowledge. It's my job at the Washington Post. I host a podcast called Try This. Every episode is like an audio class, and we learn together. I'm Christina Quinn. Now you know me. Check out Try This wherever you're listening.
That with incomplete information.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640 is Later with Mo Kelly. It's time to check in with George Noory, Coast to Coast AM. George, good evening. How was your weekend?
Great weekend, Mo, and it's ready to roll here for another great week on KFI. How you been?
Not too bad. My weekend was full of stuff. It felt like I didn't have a weekend, but, I had a good day today, so it balanced out.
It's been hot lately, hasn't it?
Yes, it has been.
That's what I hear. It's really hot in St. Louis these days.
Humid, too.
But we're going to have on the show tonight, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and what it all means to us, and then chemtrails. What are they doing? Coast to coast.
Look, I wish you had the answer for AI, because I surely do not.
Are you scared of it?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I think it's going to take us places that even we don't even know at this point.
It's going to replace a lot of people.
I was trying to tell Mark Ronda that. He didn't want to believe me.
I think you'd be crazy not to be scared of it.
Is that real or are you AI?
Okay, points.
Bye, George. Let me get serious for a moment because I want to talk about the latest as far as the U.S., Israel, and Iran. But I will say this. I don't know why we, and I mean we as a country, are always in a rush. We didn't get here overnight in regard to Iran, and the final result won't be revealed today, this week, or this year. As of this moment, there is supposedly a ceasefire, only announced by President Trump and neither confirmed by Israel nor Iran. And there have been some conflicting reports of even other missiles fired. So we're going to just take it for what it's worth. And let's say for the sake of argument, there is a ceasefire in place. A ceasefire is always tenuous and delicate. Iran may not break it, but one of its proxies like Hamas may not honor it, or Hezbollah. Foreign policy, though, by social media is not a thing. It really isn't. And negotiations, true negotiations, take time, often months. Last week, our president was demanding, quote unquote, unconditional surrender. Today, he literally said, quote, God bless Iran, close quote. That's a wild swing of the pendulum, meaning all this could change at a moment's notice for something that has been baking since 1979. We keep hearing that date, 1979. President Trump has said that Iran's nuclear capabilities have been, quote, obliterated. Historically, that isn't how missile strikes or attacks work. But let's say that's true. There's nothing left to negotiate, threat neutralized, one would think. Don't be surprised, though, if we found out later that Iran actually didn't keep all of its fissile material in one place, or that they might have moved it. It'd be pretty dumb to keep it all in one place, right? So I think I'm willing to believe that it might have been moved because everybody knew it was a target. And there's no need then to rush and declare victory. I always try to err on the side of caution. There's no microwave version of baking this cake. Israel, as it stands, wants Iran to forego all nuclear enrichment capabilities going forward. Do you think this regime will go for that? I don't think so. To my last point, why would Iran need to agree to that if it in fact has been obliterated? I'm just asking questions because Rome wasn't built in a day, and Iran's hatred for Israel and the U.S. did not end in a day. But if there's going to be some modern agreement, Iran has to get something if they're going to give up some measure of everything. Whatever that is, they need to get something. Again, this is all assuming the other bad actors in the region don't interfere. This is assuming Iran wants peace with Israel. That's a big assumption. And Israel wants peace with Iran. Another big assumption. Iran doesn't go from wanting to annihilate Israel on Thursday to willing to negotiate in good faith on Monday. I know. Call me Debbie Downer, but I remember the Israel/Egypt peace treaty of 1979. There's that year again, 1979. Egypt and Israel signed a treaty to normalize relations, making Egypt the first Middle Eastern country to recognize Israel. And according to some historians, gave momentum to the coming Iranian revolution later that year, 1979. The same revolution which led to the Muslim theocratic state we're dealing with today. All of that was a form of blowback. All of this is very complex and is not something a post on social media can dictate. The Muslim nations today largely consider the treaty a stab in the back to them by allowing more interference from the U.S. in support of Israel. Sounds like the past is happening again. Sounds like history is repeating itself. Well, because of that treaty, we've been dealing with the instability and hostility ever since. After a Middle East peace treaty, all of this was set into motion. Al-Qaeda rose out of our involvement in Kuwait in 91. That didn't come back around until 9/11. We went into Afghanistan in 2001. The Taliban was in control then. We left in 2021. Say it with me. The Taliban is still in control there. Is Afghanistan any better today after the Afghanistan peace agreement of 2020? I can't find a lot of believers. The point is, peace is always a noble goal, but the unintended consequences are always there. Forced regime change isn't often the magic pill many think it is. And beyond getting to the actual agreement, all sides have to actually honor it. That means not pulling out of it 3 years later like we did with the JCPOA, the Iran deal. That means not tearing up NAFTA, renegotiating it, and then tearing it up again. America's word has to mean something too, or the other parties have no reason to negotiate in good faith or even honor the deal after the fact. So stop being in such a rush to declare victory when it comes to the Middle East. It may not be even before the end of the Trump presidency will we get a real sense of whether this moment means something, means nothing, or means everything. Because whatever happens between the U.S., Israel, and Iran will still have a ripple effect throughout the Middle East. And that will be beyond the control of what any president posts on social media. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating talk.
You know what's great about your investment account with the big guys? It's actually a time machine. Log in and zoom. Welcome back to 1999. It's time for an upgrade. At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind at Public.com. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
There's an efficient way to get caught up on a lot of news. It's called The Seven from The Washington Post. It's a newsletter and podcast. Whether you're reading or hit play, you get 7 stories you need to know, and you can consume it all in just a few minutes. The Seven is out every weekday morning by 7 a.m. Eastern. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'm one of the writers, and I host the show. Find The Seven podcast wherever you're listening. The newsletter link is waiting for you in the show notes.